Hello, everybody. 917. It's time for another Twitter thread. Roll the intro. So today we are wading into the boiling pit of tar that is online Yu-Gi-Oh! Discourse drama. For some reason, people got it into their heads that it was worth their time to spend like 14 or 15 hours today arguing about if keywords should exist. So we're going to talk about that. Keywords, shorthand to reduce text bloat. So these are already present in mostly every other card game, and while they do reduce the amount of text on cards, they don't necessarily reduce the complexity, because then there's like a pressure to create new keywords, and then like someone has to figure out what cipher means. But regardless of your feelings on the matter, I'm asking, what could we just have straight up keyworded already? Yu-Gi-Oh's already got piercing. What else could we add to the pile? And my vote is for Nomi. We probably wouldn't call it Nomi. This is a fan-created term. But it refers to monsters that can't be normal summoned or set and have to be special summoned by meeting a certain condition. One of the most famous ones, of course, is Judgment Dragon, for which you have to have 4 or more light sworns with different names in your graveyard. Let's see what you all came up with below. Paul from Team Apps says, oh, by the way, we're beefing with Paul. Did you see what he put on his video? You can only activate each effect of the following effects of tediously named once per turn. Yeah. This is probably the best answer. Nothing preventing you from going, you can only use each of this card's effects once per turn to resolve the naming thing. In fact, you could even simplify it further to say HOPT:. I'd love a little star or something to indicate built-in summon conditions. It wouldn't shorten cards necessarily, but it would make the distinction between condition and effect way easier. Yeah. Built-in summons are summons that do not have an activation cost, do not start a chain, and can only be responded to after the summon response window, not like the summon negated by way of it would be nice if we had an indication that wasn't this is missing a colon and therefore becomes a built-in summon. One recurring effect across multiple different cards is immunities. I have one suggestion for destruction protection, that is ward. For example, on Dragoon, it could say ward, battle, effect, and targeting. For unaffected, we could use something like immune. That's so good. This is related, but in addition to more keywords, I want the first, second, third they have in the OCG. In the OCG, if you're unfamiliar, they bullet point out each effect and refer to like the third effect of. That shit is super helpful. I don't know why we don't have it. Instead, we just have one incomprehensible paragraph. Can we please, God, replace listing every single extra deck type with extra deck monster? Ritual Fusion, Synchro Xyz, or Link monster. I guess technically this doesn't cover rituals, but like we should just call every monster that's not a normal or effect monster like a special monster. If your opponent controls a special monster. Done. Pop, destroy a card on the field. Spin, return a card from the field to the deck. Bounce, return a card to the hand. Blank, non-targeting effect negation. No, I actually don't like any of these. Fuck you. So many cards could benefit from something like Hearthstone's Battle Cry keyword, or even just if summoned do thing. Why are we adding a full line of text at the beginning of effects to stop you from flip summoning a Luber? Yeah, if it just said Battle Cry, add a branded spell trap from your deck to your hand instead of, if this card is normal or special summoned, but not flip summoned, and also it has to be normal or special summoned from a position where it's like, oh my god, can't take it. Cannot be targeted by cards or effects. Fuck you, just say untargetable. Ward! You gotta get on the ward train! Pokemon finally reduced listing every special type of Pokemon to simply Pokemon with a rule box. This ties into what Scarlon was saying earlier, but like special monster or extra deck monster, it's a lot less wordy than a Pokemon with a Poke Power, Poke Body, Poke Ability, or Poke Credit Score. Ultima says, would be cool if any sort of cost was listed as such, because I know there is confusion when card effect send or discard something as cost, for example. 1, this sentence is very confusing. And 2, absolutely right. Rush Duel has fixed this problem. They literally say, like, cost and then the effect underneath it. But we don't. This was so bad before the advent of problem-solving card text. Like, they were printing Dark Worlds in 2006, and they were like, is this a cost or effect? And you just had to go, I don't know. We need a new way to template temporary banish effects, especially since they have a whole other set of rules distinct from banish then special summon it at a later date effects. Yes, very true. Just like there's like 15 different double summon types, there's like 15 different types of get this off the field and then bring it back. Omega, I think, returns a significant amount of cards special summon back, like the Weatheries, which, is really bad when Vanity's Emptiness is in the format. Honestly, to tie into you using Judgment Dragon, I wish we had a keyword for milling. I don't No, why we don't. It's the easiest thing ever. The problem is, while we use the term milling to refer to taking cards off the top of your deck and putting them into the graveyard, the term comes from a Magic the Gathering card called Millstone. But honestly, just use it. Just use it. Just use it. During battle between an attacking Dragon-type monster you control and a defense position monster whose defense is lower than the attack of the attacking monster, inflict the difference as battle damage to your opponent. That could be one word. One word. You know how all the new illusion monsters have the same effect, where neither monster involved in battle with them can be destroyed? You'd have thought that'd be the perfect time to introduce something like this. Instead, we have the same line of text on every illusion. It is crazy that they didn't just invent, like, this creature is illusory, and just slap it on this shit. This is just like a Ravnica keyword that they refused to bring. Something to help with the presence of lingering effects. It can easily be forgotten after it occurs, and something that highlights and tells players a certain effect stays even if the cards leave the field. Maybe some symbol, shorthand, or bullet point to highlight the effect. So there's a difference between continuous effects, which of course you can remember by virtue of the fact that the monster that's producing them is still on the field, and lingering effects, which apply an effect even after the card has left the field. There really should be a way, like at a glance, to tell if a lingering effect is being applied, and there's not. There's like no reason for us to have to count out the individual stars, and it never comes up. It just looks so much better instead of having the same like low-res image where the star isn't properly aligned within the circle 7 times. Can we just get the Rush Duel card formatting? It's so fucking good. Probably the go-to answer, but there is straight up no need for Gemini monsters to have this much text on them. We've gotten away with it because Geminis and Toons and Spirits are so unplayable, but each of those cards writing out what it means to be a Spirit on every card is just a huge waste of ink. Listen, it's crazy that Digimon just came out the gate with as many words on their cards as Yu-Gi-Oh cards do, and it is so much more comprehensible just because when digivolving is in a little box. Would be down on the priority list, but archetypal keywords would be a godsend for archetypes that do the same thing over and over. Sugarcoat for the recurring Madolche effect. That's the thing. Like, we already put weird keywords on all of our cards. Like, all the Dolces have the shuffle effect. Why don't we just start it with a little word so it's easy to reference? Flashback? We wouldn't call it flashback, but yeah, there does need to be something that people can tell at a glance means that the graveyard effect is going to fire. Like every card with a graveyard effect. Do you remember when Magic the Gathering would put a tombstone on every card with a graveyard effect? Yu-Gi-Oh! Should do something like that so that you can fan out the graveyard and know what you have to worry about. How many times have you had to ask your opponent, is there something I should know about the graveyard? The Ankh! I need designation between targeting and non-targeting. This is very funny because effects that don't target but do basically target, they always are like, choose, select, pick. And it's like, please just pick something, goddammit. The answer is, and has always been, Rush Duels. Its formatting solves so many problems with Yu-Gi-Oh! Card text bloat. I mean, this is a long-ass card, but look how easy it is to read. I've got just the thing. We find all the scientists in the world fighting the climate crisis, give them this card, and sit back as they spend the next 98 years deciphering it and creating a comprehensive method of reading this card. What could go wrong? That's a pretty good idea. While keywords clearly won't resolve all of the problems with Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day, they still refer to something incredibly complicated. I think it'd be a good first step in preventing the type of fatigue that causes duelists to just sort of glaze over after their opponent activates the 15th effect in the turn. You can't ask, is that a once per turn or a hard once per turn all day? Play us out, Dyer. This shit gonna be hell to edit, dog. Me when Joseph is quiet during the portions that need to be removed and speaks during the portions that need to remain in. Damn, this shit's gonna be so hard to edit. Oh man, there's no way I could look at a timeline and figure this out. But you're talking now, I want her to hear this on the edit.